But first, let's talk about maybe having output that isn't necessarily exactly what's in the table, maybe massaging our output, so to speak, so that it comes out looking a way that we want it to. So what if we want to put together our names? You may have heard the term concatenation before. Concatenation is it just means putting two pieces of text together as if they were one. So if I'm going to concatenate a name, I can add, well, you see, I want to put in my from account here first, and then let IntelliSense help me, first name. And then I can do this. If I use the plus sign instead of a comma, what happens is it starts to just put things onto the end of the first string. So it starts with what I had in my first name. So in this first one, it would be Carolyn. Then I put a plus in there and I put in the last name, and now it becomes Carolyn Tucker. We're not finished that yet, but I want to show you what happens here because this is something you're going to do quite frequently. I'm just going to put in full name. Okay. This as portion, this is called aliasing our column. If I don't do this, what I get in my output is at the top is at the top in the header. I have it says no column name. That's not very useful when you're trying to consume the output in an application later on. Now, like I've said before, we're just dealing with the server directly this term, but typically what we really end up doing is sending our queries and stuff up to the application layer where an application has to work with this data. So it needs column headings to interact with the columns, or it's really useful for it to have column headings to interact with the columns. So what we want to do is in every case, we're going to give it a column heading name. So we're going to call it full name, and let's call it ACC full name to stick with our naming convention here. And you can see now my header is ACC full name. So later on, an application can use that column very easily. But we've got another problem here. When we're dealing with names here, I put together the first name and I put together the last name. But as you can see, it's kind of just push the whole name together. And typically when we want to output a name, we want to output a space with it. Well, computers are kind of dumb, so we got to tell them what to do. And in this case, we need to tell this computer to put a space in there. And so as you can see, we can put multiple strings together with this plus thing and just keep chaining it together. We don't have to stick to just one plus sign, okay? But when you're using the plus sign, what it does is it outputs one column that puts together these text pieces. And as you probably have guessed, the plus sign means something a little bit different when you're dealing with text as compared to dealing with numbers.